I'm just probably gonna be more people watching it. So basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go over a review of last week. Again, I don't know, Nader, if you know ICT or not. I'm hoping you have some grasp of it. But last week I did live trade a lot, but I was doing that in my Discord. That's why I had the lack of alerts in my channel specifically. But if you do watch ICT's videos, you guys saw, if you go to ES 2023 quick, you kind of saw like he was bullish until we hit this 50% of this rejection block, okay? So we never actually quite got up to it. It's at around 4,117. We got to 4,110-ish. So this was kind of the level that he was looking at to hit. I think we will end up rejecting this rejection block right here eventually. Whether we go like this or this. I'm probably going to sit out for a little bit tomorrow and wait to see what market structure is looking like. See if I get an entry or if we have like equal lows. Maybe if they form in the morning. I'll definitely look for something there. So, yeah. And if we go to the 5 minute, I'm just going to review some, I just want to point something out to you guys. So I don't really talk about Power 3 much. I haven't really done a video on it, but Power 3 basically means like on any profile, like the daily profile, the weekly profile, when was the last time you saw, like, when was the last time you've seen a, how am I going to explain this? So if I go to the 5 minute, 4,100. When was the last time you've seen the weekly candle close with no wick? So if you look at the weekly candle, basically the Power 3 is, you go down, so let's say there's a line here. Basically Power 3 is, let's say we're bullish. You're supposed to go down below level, like let's say the 8:30, midnight, whatever it is, and then up, and then down again. So this is what a general weekly, daily, any candle should look like. And you look for the entry after we go down below this, and then we get the long entry, then you enter. So the Power 3 and the weekly candle, a lot of people, they're like, oh, shorts are gonna, there's not gonna be any shorts in the close. People are probably gonna leave it. I was in some random ICT or some random space on Twitter, and they're all saying, oh, it's probably not much is gonna happen. But if you guys realize, with about, let me just go to the 5 minute real quick. We were at the high at 310. So we were at the high of the week at 310. The last time we actually closed at the high of the week was, I don't think in a while. If we do look at the weekly chart, look, every single candle has some sort of wick. It has a wick here, wick here, wick here, wick here. There's not, like, this has a small wick even, but this is the open, but at the close it has a wick. This is the only candle I see right now with no wick right here and right here. Other than that, most candles will have a wick. This stuff is all irrelevant. All this stuff, because this is when no one was trading ESH 2023 yet. Everyone was on the old contracts. But like all this, there's some sort of wick. So with a Power of 3, we were at the high of day at 310, okay? And a lot of people are like, oh, we're probably going to keep pumping. But when you're at the high of the week on ES, there's a big chance we will get the Power of 3 rule, and we will go back and we will complete like the ICT model day. So on Friday, when I was looking for short setups, I was like, all right, we got to dump. I ended up taking I didn't real trade Friday because ICC sent out the trade. I actually did all demos on Friday. But like on Friday, I was looking for a short setup at the end of the day because I was like, well, we're at the high of the week right now. I don't think we're going to close like this. So what ended up happening is we ended up getting the short setup. You can see we broke the order flow. So basically we broke this order block. Technically the whole candle's order block. So once you see a break of this, even though we don't break any high or low, breaking this would kind of be breaking order flow, and it would make sense with kind of the sentiment that I want, the dump, because of the Power 3 rule. And then we get the 3 minute BPR. We hit this 3 minute BPR. It's also, you can see it's in premium. It's right at the 0.75, and then boom, we just dump, okay? And my target, I was in live in my Discord that I trade in, and my target were these equal lows. We ended up hitting sell side way down here. I don't think we're gonna hit sell side till at least this week. So we ended up hitting sell side right there. And my next target would definitely be right here. But this isn't really my target because if you look at like the 5-minute or the 15-minute even, where this is a 15-minute BPR, so I am expecting like a bounce here. So my sentiment is bullish at the moment because we're in this BPR. So I would not really look for short setups here. I'll definitely be looking for longs. But again, I'm gonna wait to see what structure gives us tomorrow. I think it's like if you apply that power of 3 rule on the weekly chart, and you realize like, oh, we're at the high of the week, right before close. There's a very, very, very big chance that we're gonna dump and create that kind of weekly wick, because a lot of times you don't close right into the high of the week, okay, just because of the power of 3 and how the stock market works. So I think that's really nice to point out. So I ended up taking this in live. I paper traded that, and then a lot of people, I think, if you don't know ICT, like truly know it, a lot of people probably shorted this fair value gap, okay? And I was on live. I actually did short this fair value gap. I didn't try shorting it to down here, though. I tried shorting it for like a 5-point move, which we never got. So you can see we end up blowing by it. Well, a lot of times new ICT traders are going to be like, well, short this fair value gap. But you got to realize on the 15-minute, let's say, like, you got to realize where we are in like every other time frame. Because on the 15-minute, we just bounce off a bullish fair value gap, okay? We hit the 0.75, we bounce off this order block as well. So when we get up to this fair value gap, any other fair value gap would be irrelevant, because obviously, as we know, for the 2022 model, the target would be hitting this high, okay? So that would be the main target. And what does happen sometimes is you can't get these counter trend scalps off these fair value gaps, but in this situation, like in this case, didn't really work. I tried it, and I was on live, I was on paper, and I didn't really care. But on my real account, definitely not really something I'd risk. When I did live trade, I did go for 2 for 3. That was actually my only loss, and it wasn't a bad loss either. It's like a 4-point loss. But again, I tried counter trend scalping this. Unfortunately, it did not work. But this is kind of like, people who don't know ICT, they're going to take every fair value gap. But this is kind of a fair value gap where if you don't know where liquidity is, you're going to get wrecked and you're going to get squeezed through. And you don't even have to be long from here. As long as you saw the reaction from holding this fair value gap, holding this order block, by the time we get up here to even to this wick before we hit the fair value gap, you got to kind of assess where we are. So if you even look at the 1 minute, on the 1 minute, this is the 1 minute, you can see we got bounced off another bullish fair value gap inside the 15-minute, and then we get kind of a market structure shift here. So we get the market structure shift, we get another market structure shift over this high, so kind of 2 to validate this. This would have been a nice entry if we got it, but we get the market structure shift, we know we're bouncing out of a 15-minute fair value gap, and let's say you don't catch this. Even if you don't catch this, you got to see that kind of reaction and be like, okay, well, I'm not going to take this fair value gap because the higher time frame was bullish. So even if you miss it, it kind of tells you not to short, and it tells you to look for like a re-entry. You don't really get a lot of re-entries. Like this would have been nice. We never got it. Let's see. I don't think, like, this was like the only decent entry I saw. 3-minute order block bounce. It was also a 1 minute, I think. Again, there wasn't really too much. We did have the equal highs here. I think in the 1 minute, this was an entry. So we did have equal highs there, and I did notice that. So this was my other trade I live traded in my premium. I ended up taking this entry right here. I took the 1 minute right here. And the reason why I like this is even though you don't get a market structure shift here, kind of looks like that buy model. So my first target was here. My second target was these equal highs, because I knew on Friday when this happened, I was like, well, there's equal highs. The bias is still bullish. We didn't hit that consequent encroachment of the daily candle. If you guys don't know what consequent encroachment means, by the way, it's basically like the 50% value of certain things. So it would be the 50% value of this daily rejection block. And then like on the 5 minute or in the 1 minute, I want you guys to see something. So if you look at the 1 minute, ICT did call. He said this. If you look at this 10:21 a.m. candle, the consequent encroachment of it is, I think, 4,084.50, and he did think we were going to close there. I'm not sure why. I think that's because of the power of 3 again, and then we ended up closing like right at that level. Excalibur, I know you just joined. I was just explaining how on Friday afternoon, I don't know if you know the power of 3. I know you're familiar with ICT a little bit, but on Friday afternoon on the weekly candle, we were at the high of the week an hour before close. And I was kind of explaining like we never really close at the high of the week because of the power of 3. We usually create like a wick, and all these candles you have wicks. So being that we were the high of the week on Friday afternoon, I was really waiting for a short setup, and I pointed out how I got this short setup, and it just made so much sense because we were at the high of the week. We rarely close at the high of the week an hour before it close, and then we get a clear short setup. So I took that on live trading, but that's kind of the only thing you missed. But other than that, like, a lot of people are like, I know a lot of people like were talking to me in my Discord personally. They're like, well, I missed the 15-minute entry. What do I do now? Do I try shorting this 1 minute fair value gap? And it's honestly up. I said it's up to you. Sometimes these work for counter trend scalps. Sometimes they don't. I was trying to get 5 points off this at least. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it. But then I ended up switching my bias long again. I looked for long setups. I saw these equal highs. As soon as I saw these equal highs, if you don't see, they are to the cent, by the way. A $4,000 index is never just going to top out twice to the exact cent if price doesn't want to go back there. Just makes no sense. It's just setting up for liquidity there. So that's why I ended up long in there. And other than that, I think Friday I had a decent day. Thursday I did make a few trades. Thursday, I think I scalped short off of this. So Thursday, again, I knew the bias was bullish. If you look at the 1 hour a little closer, we ended up bouncing off at this fair value gap. And I'm not the one to, I'm on the 1 hourly chart. I'm going to guess what fair value gap we're bouncing off of. This was, I think this was overnight, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong. No, this wasn't overnight, but I kind of saw us bouncing off this fair value gap, and you're not supposed to like guess. So obviously all these fair value gaps are in discount, right? And we could have bounced off of this one. We could have bounced off of this one. You're not supposed to guess. I know if you're an institution, you could start getting in here, but you're not supposed to guess. So you're supposed to watch the 1 hour, go back to the 5 minute, 1 minute, see if we get any long setups in the 1 minute, and then you long from there. So my thought process is, as soon as I saw us bouncing out this fair value gap, I'm like, and then we got this giant green candle right here. I'm like, okay, we got this giant green candle. We're breaking order flow. We're breaking above this order block, so that means we're breaking order flow, and order flow is now bullish. So then I know that now we're in a higher time frame model, and for the ICT model, you have to hit buy side. So I was bullish the rest of the time until we hit this high. And if we go on the 5 minute, me being bullish that day, I took a really nice long setup. I forgot exactly where. Oh yeah, it was like right here. I think it was right here. So you can see right here. Look, you have this tiny 5 minute fair value gap here. We know the bias is bearish, or bullish. And even right here, okay, this was at market open, okay, and there's a lot of times at market open you get like this Judas swing. When have you ever seen like a stair step like this? So you got 6 small candles in a row, and then just a giant random red candle with a let's see, 27 with a 10-point zone fair value gap. Often these are voids, so these 10-point zone fair value gaps, a lot of times what these do is they get filled, and being it open, it kind of gives more confluence because it's kind of a Judas swing. We hit this low, we stop out long it's open, and then what's going to happen? There's going to be a lot of people trying to go short off this fair value gap. A lot of people who don't understand that we're actually bouncing off a 1 hour fair value gap. So a lot of people are going to short this. They're going to get squeezed, and then as soon as I saw this just gave me confirmation. I was like, yeah, the bias is definitely bullish. I'm only looking for long setups. So we ended up getting this. We ended up getting this. I never caught this entry, unfortunately. I was busy at the time. And then we ended up getting this, and I ended up catching a smaller 1 minute entry off of that. So that was pretty nice. But a lot of people, they're like, well, what if you miss your entry? Well, that's okay. Just look for like a re-entry in the 5 minute or 3 minute. And the best thing to do is wait to see, like, is it bouncing out this fair value gap? Are we getting a decent candle? If we are, then you know the sentiment is bullish. And you know, like, a lot of people are like, how do you know the target? And I know the target because if you know the 2022 model, in order for the buy model or the sell model to complete, you have to hit liquidity. So in this situation, on the 1 hour, we know in the 1 hour, as I just showed you, I knew he had to hit the high to complete the model. And I'm saying this like it's kind of concrete. It's not concrete, but 99% of the time, you will hit that high unless you get a smart money divergence in that. So sometimes if NAS is the high and ES doesn't, and I'm in ES longs, I'll sell if NAS hits the high just in case, because oftentimes when NAS hits the high, we'll get like these little divergences. We'll end up dumping a little bit before ES hits a high, or we just dump like kind of the whole, or we just like regularly dump. So US 30, I think. So like right here, another thing I want to point out is with divergences, this was a great spot to look for divergences to make sure kind of my bias was still correct. And right here, you kind of see we get this giant expansion move up. You have your discount and premium. We ended up hitting discount once, okay? I think we bounced out of a small fair value gap. And just in this is kind of the spot where I look for divergences when we get these obvious highs. And if there are no divergences, your bias is probably correct. If there are divergences, like you can see, right? If I can find it. I think it was last week sometime. It was a pretty obvious divergence. Give me a second, guys. Where is it? I was on US. I think it was between US 30, if I'm not mistaken. Might have been this day. Okay, it was right here. So on Friday at open, I kind of saw, I was watching US 30 a little bit, and at open you can see, look, US 30, we went way below this low. Okay, you can see how energetic this is. As soon as you see something like this where we go way below this low, but you kind of coming into the bearish or bullish bias, well, this is perfect because you can see on ES, when we were at this low, we were at a 15-minute fair value gap here. And once you start seeing that, that's like another confirmation, because once you start seeing us bouncing out the 15-minute fair value gap, even if you don't long there, because in hindsight, you could say, yeah, I can long there, but usually you do want to wait for the smaller time frame confirmation to long. Once you see us start bouncing off, you see us hit this low, as soon as it's just great confirmation, because we're sweeping this low, we're stopping at longs and Dow, and then we're bouncing off a 15-minute fair value gap here. So that's just a very, very clear divergence to go back up and hit this high. And even on NAS, you're hitting that discount PD array. I'm sure it's a smaller time frame fair value gap, and you see us reacting and bouncing out this 15-minute time frame, this 15-minute PD array. So if you're not seeing these divergences, your bias is probably wrong. You should be seeing these divergences to go in your favor between US 30, US 100, and S&P. And there's a high chance, like, if let's say, there's a high chance if every single if the Dow, if the E-mini futures, or if ES, Dow, and NQ, they're all doing the same exact thing, then I would just follow the trend. But you do really want to see divergences if you're looking for, oh, you think we're gonna go here, then short. It's just it is what it is. Divergences are really gonna tell you the move beforehand. I've caught moves very, very early, doing that, and you can like see right here in ES, we ended up hitting the high in ES. We did not hit the high on Dow right here, and then what happens? We end up pumping more. So again, it's really good to look for divergences. I really haven't taught them a lot in the past, but over these past 2 weeks, they've been a tremendous help. Oftentimes, I really like using them at open to see if we hit like the low on NAS and then we don't hit the low in ES. Like if I had a bullish bias, or if we hit like a high in ES and we didn't have a high in NAS. I just think looking at it really helps because it tells you when smart money's getting in for like a bigger move. And a lot of times people are like, well, how do you know if we're going to consolidate or not all day? Usually if you see a divergence setting up, that means we're going to get a pretty big expansion move. And I remember way back in the daily chart when we were in that like giant range for a while, it was like this range. We got a small divergence like right before he pumped, and I saw that and I'm like, I'm not going to guess that it's a bullish divergence, even though my target was this fair value gap right here. That was the draw on liquidity at the time. But I saw a big divergence. I think it was on the 15-minute time frame formed this time. I'm like, okay, it's been a lot of days of this consolidation. Obviously, people on Twitter have no idea what they're talking about, don't know how the market moved. They're like, oh, we're in consolidation, don't trade. But I see this divergence, and I'm like, okay, well, now we're getting somewhere. Now is the time to look for a decent entry to get a good swing in. We're starting to get like a smart money divergence, which is again telling me that smart money's getting in. Usually, when smart money gets in, we don't chop. We make a expansion move. So for now, that's about what I have. I think on my YouTube, I'm gonna do like a video kind of going over the Power 3 a little bit more, but like really on Friday afternoon, the fact that we were at the high of the week on Friday afternoon with an hour left to close, that just, I was like, there's no way we're closing at the high of week. We never do the Power because of the Power 3. I think that's one thing you should take away. And even like the daily candles too, like even on the daily candles, you can see if you look back at the daily candles, almost all these candles have a wick, like up and down. This was like the smallest, so this is a pretty small wick, but there still is a wick. This is a small wick. So just on the daily candle, if you see where like the high of day at the end of the day, usually before it closed, we get a retracement. Like same thing with open. With open, you want to see like manipulation, meaning we go under the 830, we go under midnight, and then we bounce. So I think that's what I got for now. Let me know if you guys have any questions. For you guys who just showed up late, I will be doing a recording of this and posting it on my YouTube. But again, Power 3 is definitely something you could start paying attention to, taking away from. But yeah, does anyone have any questions before I end this? Just let me know in, I guess, free chat if you do. Or you could even unmute your mic, it doesn't matter. I'll give you I'll give you a minute and then I'll end it. All right, well, I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys took away something. And sorry about the late announcement. I was busy during the day, but again, if you guys read the schedule, I will be live every Sunday, 7 p.m. So just again, if you do think of a question in a little bit, maybe you forget to ask me, just shoot me a DM or tag me in free chat. I'll definitely get the tag. Yeah, no problem, Nader. All right, well, I'll see you guys later. Everyone have a nice night. Peace.